Who jumps out of perfectly good airplanes in the name of science? Mr. C.
Eighth grade, happy Tuesday to you. And you've got your lesson planner out, huh? And this will be up on RenWeb too, your homework. So I'll get to that in just a little bit. I want to give you some good news. Your good news is that I've done some thinking about the best way to prep you for the semester exam and also to reduce your stress. Pardon me. So I've decided I'm going to do what I call a 3-part rollout of your study guides. I'm going to give you like 3 separate chunks of your semester exam study guides. And the first one you're going to get in a little more than 2 weeks. In fact, 2 weeks from yesterday. So it's on, I'm not sure the exact date. I suppose I could compute it. So yesterday was the 18th, I think. So that would be the 25th. And I think it would be May 1st, maybe. So May 1st, I think, and then May 8th, and then May 15th, maybe. So anyway, a 3-chunk rollout of your study guides. The first one that I'm going to give you is going to be just all of your charts. So you're going to get your evolution chart. So that'll be on the semester exam, right? So I'm also trying to alleviate your stress by letting you know ahead of time what it's going to be on. So evolution's pillars, the scientific method. We'll review all of this. We'll go over all of it. So the scientific method, the metric system. So King Henry, died by drinking chocolate milk. The King Henry, what a standard unit is. The metric system standard units, meter, liter, Celsius, gram, all of those. So the prefixes that change the meaning. So not that many, like kilo for 1,000, and so on. The periodic table and the symbols that we went over and their characteristics. So that. And then Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences. You recall those, like nature smart, music smart, art smart, math smart, word smart, all of those. So God smart, what did I leave out? Self smart, people smart, word smart. Anyway, all of those, and your superpower. What your superpower includes, that'll be your GoTappy package, right? Gifts, opportunities, talents, abilities, 3 Ps. Can I remember them? Personality, physical appearance, right? Purpose, a great purpose, because we're God's and we're made in His image, the last one. So your superpower, and then a few things that my daughter taught you about your superpower, like the importance of grit and triple R. So anyway, all of that. You'll get this. You're going to get all these in a packet. Evidence for a great global flood, like sedimentary rock on every continent, fossils on every continent, coal on every continent, oil deposits on every continent, canyons on every continent, rapid continental drift, shells on the highest mountains. And then you'll get this. This is your first packet. So I'm just giving you a heads up, not to worry. So your Bible verses, you're going to need to know 3 or 4. And reasons you can trust the Bible. History, archaeology, science, God said so, fulfilled prophecy, remember those? Reasons you can trust the Bible. So that'll be, all of that is going to be your first part of your semester exam packet as far as study guides. The second one is going to be your third quarter tests. And then your third group is going to be your fourth quarter tests, including this one that we just did. So you'll get your tests. They'll be filled out. You just need to study them. Now that's the rub. That's going to be the cause and effect, the law of cause and effect, that will determine how you do. You ought to easily get an A or B if you triple R for, the 2 weeks ahead of the test. So I'm going to get 2 of your study guides to you a week before the test, and then your last packet will be the Monday before the Friday test. Your last group of tests to study. So I'm going to take care of you. You're going to do well if you triple R. So anyway, you'll do fabulous. So now I'm going to throw out an opportunity for you for another night observation, last one of the year. So, and by the way, I didn't bring a pink SSR sheet, but I'm just reminding you about that. Pink SSR sheet, they're due the 14th, which is, let's see if I can do the math on this. So 19, 20, 21, 22, 29th. They're due 3 weeks from this Friday. Your SSRs. 10 SSRs. Roughly have the date when it happened. It doesn't need to be specific. But I'd like it to be over, I'd like it to be in the third or fourth quarter. Okay. Like it to be ones you haven't used already. So anyway, all right, night observations first. Hello, and then it'll be goodbye. Hello to a constellation that we haven't looked at. It's right overhead. It's the Big Dipper. It's almost right overhead at 8 p.m. 7:45-ish, 8 p.m.-ish, right overhead. And the Big Dipper, it's also known as Ursa Major, the Big Bear. And again, it's going to be directly overhead, and it's going to be something like this. See if I can sketch it for you. So it's going to be directly overhead and look kind of like that. And the tail points to the fourth brightest star. I'm just going to put arc by it. So you see the tail? The tail points to Arcturus. 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 It's the fourth brightest star in the night sky. And then these two cup stars point to actually kind of a dim star. These two cup stars point up or to the north, to the North Pole Star, the pole star that sits right over the North Pole. So, and its name is Polaris. How about that? Polaris. Polaris. There it is. Polaris. So this is directly overhead, about 7:45, 8 p.m.-ish. And it's the Big Dipper, like drinking cup. It's upside down. And the tail or the handle points to Arcturus. And then the cup itself points to the north, to the North Pole star, Polaris. Polaris isn't anything special to look at. What is its significance? It just sits above the North Pole. So anyway, so you'll look at that, you'll identify that, and then so this is like hello to the Big Dipper or the Big Bear, Ursa Major, and then we're going to say goodbye in the west now. We're going to say goodbye to my favorite constellation, although probably my second favorite really is the Big Dipper. So you know what my favorite is? My favorite is Orion. And Orion is now high in the west, in the western sky. And you remember the belt stars point to the brightest star, point down to Sirius. So this is Orion. So hello to the Big Dipper and goodbye to Orion. It's gradually moving slowly to the west, and in a few weeks the sun is coming up earlier, and I said it wrong, I'm sorry. The sun is going down later and later, that's what I wanted to say, and flooding the evening sky with light for a longer period of time, and therefore we're not going to see Orion for much longer. It's going to be drowned out and eventually go below the horizon, not to return until next winter in the evening skies. So the next time you'll see Orion after 2 or 3 weeks will be next December probably, when you'll be freshmen. So anyway, you remember Orion points to the brightest star. Orion points to Sirius. The belt stars point to Sirius. So you'll need to show these to a parent. Now I'll do an even better job tomorrow showing you these and reminding you about these. And then you'll have a couple of weeks until you can't see them anymore to point out Orion, but it'll be easy to see the Dipper. It's going to be basically overhead for the next several months. So 2 constellations. Remember, a constellation is a group of stars that make a pattern that looks like a familiar object found on Earth. So anyway, this will be worth 15 points. If you do it, if you don't do it, it's no points. It doesn't hurt you, but it'll help you. So you've got to show it to a parent with a parent signature. So you'll point out directly overhead the Big Dipper. You'll point to the north and show the dim Polaris star. I'll coach you on this again tomorrow. And then the stars, the handle stars of the Dipper, point to the east to Arcturus, the 4th brightest star in the night sky. Sirius is number 1. So you're going to look at the Big Dipper, point it out to a parent, and you're going to point Orion out to a parent as it disappears. So, and it'll be worth 15 points. But you're going to have to Show your parents both and get a parent's signature. And then write on a sheet of paper, like a half sheet, I saw Orion and Sirius, and I saw the Big Dipper and Polaris, the North Star, and Arcturus. Might show you this for fun. A little digression. My favorite coffee cup. My wife and my favorite beach in all the world. They've got some nice ones in Australia. And my one daughter lives down by a really nice beach in East Corrimal. But this is our favorite that we've ever seen. Brenicke's Beach, Poipu, Kauai, Hawaii. Kauai is probably maybe the third best known Hawaiian island after Oahu, where Pearl Harbor is, Diamond Head, Waikiki Beach, and then maybe even fourth, and then even after Maui, and then after the Big Island of Hawaii. So anyway, I want to remind you about proteins. So next week I'm going to ask you on your test next week about proteins again. So on your white sheet, see how you go on this? So on your white sheet, like you just jot down a few things. Proteins are made of a complex chemical compound known as amino, and I'd like you to finish it. So on your white sheet, please finish that. And then name a couple of jobs that proteins do in your body. They do maybe some 20,000 different jobs. So name a couple of jobs they do. Two of them on your white sheet. Everybody participating. Mr. Phillip encouraging it. And then number 3, name 2 of the just rights of proteins. To be a working protein in your body that works effectively, it's got to have just right this and just right that and just right that. So write down a couple of them. This is what I'll ask you on next week's test. Probably won't be super big, but okay, let's see how you went on this. Proteins are made of 20 different amino or amino acids. Amino acids. And they are complex chemical compounds that are involved with structure. That means the way something is built, its shape, its strength. They're involved with function. They do a whole bunch of different jobs, functions. And with regulation. They make sure chemical processes are regulated. That means they occur just right in the right place in the body. Okay, here are the just rights. Now you could have put some specifics for functions. They message cells and body parts, so they carry messages. They're involved with shape and structure. I've already mentioned that. So, and they do a bunch of other things too. Build up muscles and tissue. Your tissues are made of proteins, different kinds of proteins. Your hair is a protein. The chemicals in your body are proteins. So your blood vessels are made of proteins. Your food tube, your esophagus, made of proteins. So your whole body is a protein machine made of all kinds of different proteins. So anyway, just rights for the proteins. You've got to have, for every protein, you've got to have the right number. It can't be one more or one less. Then the protein won't work. It's got to be the just right number with the just right order of the 20 and use it over and over and over again. Obviously, do you remember a medium-sized or just a modest-sized protein, 150 amino acids? You remember hemoglobin? It makes up red blood cells, carries oxygen. Yeah. So 147 amino acids. You recall all that. Just one out of place, not there, and sickle cells that don't grab oxygen, right? So a mutation. Mutations are rare, harmful when they do occur in almost every case, or fatal. So, and that's the mechanism for evolution. Something that's really rare, harmful, or fatal. That's why it's such a terrible mechanism. That's why it doesn't work. That's why evolution is a weak idea. So, bad. So, anyway, just right number of amino acids in just the right order, in just the right location to do just the right job at just the right time. So, the kinds of questions I'll ask about amino acids next week. Now, you did some reading about this, LS13 and highlighting. So here's what I wanted to make sure that you highlight. A force in physics or in science is a push or a pull. That's a force. So when you throw a baseball, that's a push. That's a push. So our bodies are pushing and pulling things. In fact, our muscles work because of muscles that push and pull. So providing forces to make our body be able to work. So you have highlighted a force is a push or pull. And physicists get kind of picky about that. But the major thing a force does, I want you to just highlight this in the second box. So up above, highlight force, a push or pull, and then I'm going to put a star by it. And then in the second box down below, just a force, and it's called a net force, but a force causes a change in an object's motion. It'll make it speed up or slow down or change direction. It's what forces do. So make it speed up, slow down, or change direction. That is LS13. LS13. Now, you watched a video on Isaac Newton, and you learned a number of things about him. And you were to put some bullet facts down as you watched that video, and I think those were handed in yesterday. So, what were some of the key facts about Isaac Newton? What country was he from? We'd call it the UK today. Back then, what did you call it? England. So he was from England. When did he live? The 17th century, 1600s. What else do you know about him? He was smart. Really smart. So, where did he end up going to university? I think he went to Cambridge. Now, he was so poor, he was from a poor family, that he didn't get a scholarship, so he had to work cleaning fellow students' dorms. Woo! Pretty humbling. So, but he was brilliant. He was brilliant. He lived in the country, and he had a rough family life. I can't remember. Somehow he just had a tough family life. Might have been raised by a relative, a grandparent maybe. Can't remember exactly. Okay. During the bubonic plague, which wiped out millions of people, tens of millions of people across the world during this time, 1500s, 1600s, the plague came to Cambridge, so they shut the university down, and he went back home and hung out until they all got word that the plague was over. So in London it killed thousands and thousands of people. So terrible disease. So anyway, so just think, if he would have died of the plague, we wouldn't have had the great Isaac Newton, one of the top probably 5 greatest scientists who ever lived, and brilliant scientist. He was a God believer. He absolutely believed there had to be a God who created everything. So, and then his specialty ended up being a lot of areas, but physics, astronomy, theology. So the study of God, he thought a lot about that, read the Bible a lot, studied the Bible. So anyway, a God believer, so he believed there absolutely had to be a creator. It just was logical. One of the smartest guys who ever lived. Einstein, by the way, in the same category. Who was smarter? They probably were equally smart and contributed equally in their areas of science. Maybe Newton even more. So anyway, so I'm going to have you, and then Newton developed, and you're going to read about it. So I'd like you to read and highlight LS15 tonight on Newton's laws of motion. So read and highlight them carefully. You're going to watch a video on Newton's laws, and then you're going to read about them in your homework and highlight them. And perfect time to turn this over to Mr. Phillip to start the Newton's Laws of Motion video. I will see you tomorrow for a shortened period, right? So, because it's a half a day. So, see you on Downhill Day, and I think you'll enjoy this video on Newton's Laws of Motion. Mr. Phillip.